Hey, blessings to you and welcome to my weekly muse. Today I want to talk about the moon because we all learn through experiences and we also reflect on those experiences, and the moon also reflects. So it's an emotional frequency of our natal moon in our astrology chart and our human design chart. So in human design, I'm a reflector, so I need to truly follow the movement of the moon through the gates. But the moon also rules our emotional state of awareness. And the moon, most often, we are not in touch with our feelings. Our feelings carry a frequency and a vibration. And the moon literally has 5 distinct phases in the moon. So the magic of the moon is also in these phases too. So for me, it's doing offerings or rituals to nurture my moon or my inner baby and getting in the frequency of what what you feel. Not just inside of you, but you can feel, empathetically, you feel frequencies and feelings outside of you. And also, the global community, the global world. So, really having a conversation with those feelings is absolutely, truly a thing. So, to heal, honestly, we all need to be paying attention, not to just our feelings, but also more importantly to our moon. The feelings of fear, disgust, sadness, overwhelming grief that lasts a lifetime, etc. So, when held for too long, they literally create chaos in our bodies and even often sometimes in our lives. Feelings can literally tighten up our DNA strands, the codes, to the point of combustion where they break the links. So, tuning into this is actually truly a healing experience because we don't want our DNA strands tightened at all. We want them fluid, moving, and actually flowing. So the moon, sometimes described as, or the new moon, it's often described as a crescent moon. So this is when a sliver of the moon, I think of slivered almonds. So a sliver of its light is actually visible. So it literally marks this starting point, and it is aligning with this phase. When we align with it, it can support new beginnings, ideas, relationships, basically anything that's new. So if you were born on a new moon, you are in flux. You're in this flux naturally. It's an aspect of your inner nature. And also, what's also curious, and because I map out so many things sometimes simultaneously, but in what is the word? It's not human design. It's 4 pillars in Chinese astrology. The moon is also what's called our day master. It's like our when we're born in to things. That's what the moon feels like. It's the phase of who we are, what we're born into. If that makes any sense, me going off on a tangent. So just know this aspect, if you're born on a new moon, you're in flux naturally in the frequency and the vibration of this aspect of your inner nature. And then also, depending on the sign that your natal moon is in, that plays out an entire different character in your soul story, in your beingness, in your light show of your own inner moon. So when the moon starts to expand, that's the waxing moon. So in this phase, it assists us to amplify what we already have inside of us. It's taking it to like the next level of whatever that looks like. So to me, this feels more quantum in reality, supporting in just communication and actually promoting healing. So what this feels like to me is mineral in the Dagara cosmology. So we really need to actually tune into community. So we're currently, right, we're a bit shattered at the moment. So it's really hard to know or feel into what is true anymore, or even out in the world. It's just kind of a sense. And also the most popular phase, obviously, is the full moon. The moon was literally a few hours from being full when I was born. Literally 2 hours, I think, is what I want to say. But this moon is popular because it literally lights up the night sky, right? So it's truly magical to sit under and just hand everything over to the altar of the moon. So you can, perfect your plans, create a manifestation, bring greater fulfillment in different areas or aspects of your life. Really, just by tuning into the moon and giving time and space to your feelings. The moon is really my intergalactic corridor and my outer galactic corridor. I often organize my chaos, which would be my emotions, um, in a magical way, quite honestly. Yeah, the moon, organizing my chaos, my emotions. The waning moon is actually the phase where the moon starts to, or maybe it appears, actually, it appears to be getting smaller. I think it's moving away, is what I'm seeing. So, this is a greater time to release anything that's bad relationships, bad habits, bad thought processes, or just, negative thoughts in general. The mind literally is a tool. Just realizing that anything that no longer serves us, or even the greater good, the outer world, um, just place it up, let it go. It's a releasing. So the moon is dark, or the dark moon. The moon isn't visible at this aspect. A lot of people confuse the dark moon with actually the new moon. So this phase has its own frequency and energy. It's great for doing like shadow magic or the realm of nature, and honestly, witches in the Dagara cosmology. It's nature in relation. I'm going to create a shaman quiz based on the Dagara cosmology, so be sure to tune in and check that out because I want to explore that. And this moon, the dark moon, is a great moon for banishing, hexes, protection, healing. It's basically psychic work. For me, that would probably be the best time to literally do psychic surgery. I never really felt into that till just now, but to remove shadows, that obviously is a great time. And most people who, we'll call them lunologists, they really don't include this phase of this dark moon, which, this phase holds its own undeniable unique power. So, out of all of these phases, two of them are just highly effective in supporting wishes and petitioning. So, if they're used correctly, I want to say, so the timing of petitioning is, vastly important. So, what does that even look like? So, it's writing things down assists in supporting this aspect. Using higher vibrational words supports in being effective in the petition and the power of that petition, what that looks like. And also just including your wish behind your wish in your own written power petition, whatever that looks like for you. So you're basically petitioning the power of the moon, the goddess, right? The higher priestess. So I highly recommend that you first and foremost connect and nurture your relationship with the moon. Different aspects of the moon carry different frequencies and vibrations. And also, the moon is the only planet that goes through, like the full sign, like we just entered Taurus. So the moon will go through every zodiac sign within those 30 days. So paying attention to the frequency of the moon and where it's waking you up through the natal houses of your astrology chart is highly important, along with the nurturing the nature in that frequency in that relationship. So paying attention to her daily, have a conversation with her, get in tune with your feelings, get in that frequency, maybe even create a moon journal. So every phase of the moon that you work with literally has a message for you, different elements that are connected to the moon. So even the year you're born and the season you're born into carries an element of your choreography. It goes into the cosmic soup because we have the elements in the physical world, elemental beings. We also have the galactic corridor, the space coordinates. So, yeah, they all interplay, and they all, you need to nurture these beings, basically. Have a conversation. So if you love working with herbs or carry crystals, you like to create grid crystals, or, just crystals in general, this actually attunes to the earth element, and you probably will get your best results using any of those when you have communication with the moon. You're sitting in frequency, right? If you resonate mostly with creating words, maybe use smudge, take a smudging kind of bath, smudging before you get in the bath. Um, you might be a natural or a wind or an air kind of intuitive, just following the winds of change in a way, in a frequency. If you like candles, all colors of candles, enjoy releasing your wishes or challenges out into fire. Maybe you follow the energy of the sun. Using fire as an element that you work with during the movement or the tides of the moon might be a thing for you. If you like spiritual baths, maybe you like coffee or tea, doesn't really matter. This is my lunar mug that my good friend Deb gave me because she knows I follow the moon. Where you can actually, just sit with your coffee or your tea in the morning, kind of in a meditative state, or it puts you in a meditative kind of space and frequency. You like using the energy of the moon, then the element of water is your corridor. Or you can literally be like me and literally bring them all in. So I have an entire village of all these things that I nurture in the elemental realm along with the cosmic realm. And I have conversations that are otherworldly. But it's important to just nurture all aspects in offerings and rituals. And just know, not everything is in all love and light frequency, right? I'm going to sneeze. Sorry. Maybe not. Maybe not. So again, not everything is in love and light. The truth is our light would not even exist without our dark side. And we all have a magical dark side, all of us, including myself. So even the most spiritual person out there, I'm kind of thinking of the Dalai Lama in a way. We all have anger, bitterness, hate, fear, grudges, whatever that looks like. To access the power, we have to go through these darker places inside of us. Even tragedy that we endure on the earth plane, tragedies, illness, death, breakups, job loss, like all of it. Like right now, we are literally in a cosmic turnover. All of this is literally making us stronger and maybe being more authentic in our transformation of our beingness, of who we really are. Change is like we're reaching for it and we want it, and yet we're still resisting it. But when you stop resisting the frequency and just move in the flow, it will literally make us stronger on the outer side and our inner side, just as long as we're able to make it through into the other side, break on through to the other side. Yeah, I just got a visual of that in my third eye. But I sense that we're in a space of the dark night of the soul, or meeting our ghost in the darkness. And literally, this is really the only way to break on through to the other side. So people often avoid shadow work and doing their own shadow work, along with the there's a darker magic that kind of comes with it, Harry Potter style, right? Or Lord of the Rings. But I think, honestly, this is the most powerful journey or aspect, along with the skill of this magic that actually comes with it. I always say there's magic on the other side of fear. So it will literally carry its weight in gold. And we all have inner dragons that we need to slay, or not, maybe. And we all have our own inner demons that we have to confront. Sometimes for me, or others as well, with practice and being just honest in community, our dragons really become our closest allies. Just seeing dragons in all aspects, whether dragons in a tree, in a mountain, in a stone, in the water, in the rivers, et cetera, et cetera. Your own inner demons become your friends as well. Not as scary or bad as we've been kind of programmed to believe. Um, I often see there's always light in the darkest moments, right? It's just how we utilize them is really what counts in nurturing those relationships. So, a variety of people associate the dark moon as a phase when certain entities are honored and actually when shadow magic's more performed. So, it's really curious and also it's very easy and simple because our lives, just like the moon, goes through different phases. Same like the elements, like we're in the birthing phase of the spring, hopefully, heading into summer. I'm kind of curious with that now because um, it looks cold and yucky out again. But again, the moon and the phases and the elemental phases, there's a hierarchy in all of this. So in the waxing phase is the growing and the learning phase. It's in our full phase where we see our ideas and they're literally like a bird taking flight and our plans come to fruition. And then we have this inner waning phase where we experience loss. So, in terms of different cycles of the moon, after the waning moon comes another phase during which a lot of people choose not to perform gratitude or rituals or offerings to the moon or even perform the magic that resides within us. That really is the dark side of the moon or the darker moon. I like it. It feels Lilith to me. But this little aspect only lasts 3 days. So it's a time of darkness between the end of one thing and literally the beginning of another. It's a transition phase. Again, on calendars, it's usually called the new moon, where there isn't any visible moon in the sky. So when we apply this sort of little metaphor to the grander, larger picture of our life, the dark moon actually represents the space between one thing and another. It's literally giving things space and time, a directive, and sitting in that space and time. So, one of the greatest mysteries is the space often between death and a rebirth. So, I belong to a near death experience group, and seriously, people are so curious about what happens when we die. Having had one, I am on the other side of that coin. So the space of the moon holds everything we fear along with all that we can actually absolutely wish for. Another idea or an example would be like when wildlife dies out in a forest or a forest fire blazes out of control in a rage. Energetically, the trees will actually look naked and they have no clothes on, like everything's burnt to their bones, right? So what happens is they decompose, they compost, they become fertilizer for the earth, so new life can literally grow. So without death, new life or beginnings cannot exist. And in Secrets of the Other World, I go through the two sides of the coin between life and death. Now, I'm no expert. However, it was an experience I had, so I kind of have a different sight or literal sight into it. I'm just giving you this example to demonstrate that while darkness and death mark an ending, they also contain the next beginning. So, this dark moon energy can literally be felt like a current moving throughout our earthly existence. It's honestly the best time to work on our inner ghost in our darkness or our shadow flavors and the flavors of different shadows, um, which ultimately is very necessary to grow spiritually and live life to a higher dimensional degree, higher vibration, higher frequency, whatever that looks like. It literally helps us to become wise. It's the wisdom, resilience, being empathetic, contemplative, all these different aspects. So, like right now, I'm actually seeing the different phases of the moon along with the phases in the Chinese four pillars. Because you're birthed, if you're born in the spring, you're actually at the peak of the birthing season. Your life generally plays out better. I'm not going to lie there. You're born in the summer, and that's your frequency. So the birth is behind you in a way, and you're like already in adolescence. It's kind of the frequency you frequent. But again, it depends again on your day master, not to confuse you. I'm sure sometimes I do become confusing, but also I created this year's the Wisdom Series podcast. So I'm going deep into some pretty fun insights that have been coming through for me to perform these kinds of rituals or offerings. That's generally what I like to call them. And healing comes, or the aspect of what is healing. So you first determine kind of where you are. What I would do is grab a journal, a pad of paper. I have pads of paper all over. Not because I'm struggling, but because I get downloads way too often. So I feel sorry for somebody to ever edit a book for me. But get a pad of paper, grab a journal, you have to write it down. Just take one issue that you're currently in adversity with, or you're struggling with, or what you're being called to heal. Then literally you kind of start connecting the dots, because we create patterns. And then you really want to link the emotions tied to that struggle, that adversity, and write down every feeling and thought that comes up. Even write down the feeling behind the feelings, right? And you're going to be releasing it out on the paper, literally, to get it out of you. Then make the connection between the emotions and the beliefs that you actually picked up earlier on life. So it could be childhood, or even other lifetimes or timelines, past, future, and present, actually. You want to write those down. And just document the stories that actually led you to those beliefs that were birthed at that time. So you can see your younger self choose those beliefs, and that your current self, your wiser self, actually has a different option. So when I say nurture your inner baby, your inner emotions that are like a bubbling spring in your body, you want to literally have a one-on-one, a heart-to-heart with your feelings, your little inner child, your little inner self. And lastly, you want to create a new belief based on the new information that is coming in, or the information that you have. So in this part of the offering, this is where you get to choose new beliefs. So you can even choose to heal your inner child by actually having the conversation where you're being the parent, the wiser you that you currently are and often will be, that you ultimately needed when the original idea was actually formed as your parent self, your wise self, your wisdom story. So you kind of want to remind your inner child of your perfection, your beauty, your sacred space, your lovability, just I am lovable. I am love. So your unique being that you ultimately are has to come to the forefront and not be hidden in those shadows of your inner baby. So feelings are actually huge. It's good to be vulnerable in your feelings. It's a transfiguration, right? And also this Sunday for the Blockbuster show, if you haven't filled out the form, please do. No need to be afraid to join me. I'll be creating sacred space for all of these. I'll probably be doing an early morning ritual, create a container. So I'll be sharing insight into trust and love. That's what somebody had written in, along with a big one, which is huge, is depression, any kind of shun. So insights for the corridor group and what that even looks like. InSHalla, Ashe, I love to say that. And again, if you're having some adversity, that is at your front door. Just fill out the form and let's get the frequency shifting to a vibrational energetic field that literally soars, and know that you are not alone in this journey. A lot of people are feeling like they are alone, cosmically alone. So gratitude for piping in and joining me today. And as always, I will see you on the other side. InSHalla, Ashe. Blessings to you.